Hello, my name is Oliver Sprin. Welcome to the course One App for Every Screen. In this course, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to build Android apps that fit all mobile device form factors. We'll be covering phones, tablets, desktops, and yes, foldable devices in all postures. If this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. Every week, I give you seasoned advice on how to build professional Android apps in bite-sized chunks. Now, let's take a look at what we'll be covering in this course. Before we dive into what we're building, I'd like to discuss why we're taking the time to build one app for every screen. And I see four particular reasons to do that. The first reason is because Google is placing a renewed emphasis on large screens with a new Android operating system called Android 12L. This is a forthcoming operating system that's designed specifically for large screens. Particularly, they're making several major improvements. The first improvement they're making is around multitasking and being able to put apps into split screen mode. Then, they've taken their existing UIs and adapted them to take advantage of the larger real estate that a tablet and a large screen has to offer. They've also improved compatibility with applications that don't support large screens by default. You could think of this as being traditional phone-based applications. This is Google's biggest effort to date to take on the market for large screen devices. The second reason is because Android Studio now offers excellent tooling for targeting all of these different kinds of devices. First and foremost, they have great emulator support for all of these different form factors. In fact, they've recently introduced an emulator type that can mimic every single type of device available on the market, whether it be a phone, a tablet, a desktop, or foldable. You don't even have to switch emulators anymore in order to try out all these different form factors. You can stick to one emulator and test every single type of device. And whenever you're building your UIs inside of Android Studio, especially if you're using Jetpack Compose, they have advanced previewing tools so that you don't even have to build your application to see what it looks like on a variety of form factors. It'll show you right inside of the tool. The third reason is because the market's momentum is growing for more device types than just Android phones. Recently, Google has registered 100 million new Android tablets, and that brings the total worldwide market for large screen Android devices to 250 million. That includes tablets, foldables, as well as Chrome OS devices. And speaking of Chrome OS, it's one of the fastest growing operating systems on the market. All of these devices are considered large screen devices, and they've seen a 92% year-over-year growth. Each of these devices are capable of running Android apps out of the box because they all come pre-installed with Google Play. These are Google's official numbers for the fourth quarter of 2021, and if things keep going the way that they have, they're only going to get better. The fourth and final reason for building these kinds of apps is because major players in the market are all pushing it in this direction. As I mentioned earlier, Google's pushing in this direction with Android 12L, but let's talk about Microsoft and Android for a minute. With the introduction of Windows 11, Microsoft has promised us support for Android applications. This is going to come by way of the Amazon App Store, and it opens up a whole new market that previously wasn't available. So as you can see, the landscape for building applications has changed quite a bit, even over the past few years. It used to be you would just build an application to target a phone, and maybe if you wanted to, tablets as well. But the guidance on how to do an application for both of them was pretty vague, and the process was rather difficult. So that means that the tablet adoption rate was rather low. People just stuck with building apps for phones. But that's no longer the case. As app developers, we can see where the market's going, and it behooves us to accommodate the market before it gets there and your application is forced to play catch up. I have four major goals for this course. The first one, as I mentioned earlier, is to build an application that's optimized to run on phones, tablets, desktops, and foldables in all postures. Now, what do I mean by a foldable posture? There are two primary categories of foldables on the market. One example is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold. In its natural posture, you're going to open up the device like a book from left to right. This is usually called book mode. However, you can turn the device 90 degrees and have it sit on a tabletop oriented in the opposite direction. This is called tabletop mode, and between book mode and tabletop mode, you have two different postures. Another device on the market is the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip, which by default opens in the opposite orientation, in tabletop mode. Our application is going to be designed to run on all of these devices and will be optimized for each of these postures. The second goal of this course is we're going to build this entirely in Jetpack Compose. We're not going to be using XML views for anything. This is going to be an incredibly modern application. The third goal is we're going to be using Material 3, or more commonly known as Material U. This is the next generation of Google's material design system. It's designed to work in light mode and dark mode, just like in previous years, but now the user can select custom color palettes from their background on devices running Android 12 and above. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this topic in this course, since it's not one of the primary goals, but we will be following the necessary rules in order to make it work. The fourth and final goal of this course is to be able to support rotation. Now, this is going to be necessary for us to be able to support both postures on foldable devices, and plus, it's just going to be a better user experience overall. We're going to use some very similar practices to address each of these goals in one sweep. Now, let's move on to our very first topic, where we're going to look at what the final project of this course is going to look like.